Hello students, how are you all? This is Shweta Roy, your English Master Teacher at Vedantu, and I welcome all of you to today's amazing session where we are going to read a wonderful lesson named The Horse and Two Goats, which is from your ICSE class 10 syllabus. And this story is it's written by none other than our favorite R.K. Narayan. And from the title itself, after reading the title, what we can assume is we are surrounded by many questions like horse and two goats. Is the story about animals? What is the matter with the horse? And how come two goats related to a horse? Are they related? Are they interconnected? Is the horse real? Are the two goats real? And other related questions that constantly keeps cropping up in our mind after reading this very title. So let us move ahead and see what's up with the title and what's up with the story. Okay, and I promise you that this is a humorous and an interesting read. As I will simultaneously point out some of the passages from your text as well when I go through the book, go through the lesson, right? So as to make the concept absolutely clear to you. And of course, we have important question answers as well. So please stay tuned and listen to this wonderful story. First of all, let me remind you again of VSAT 2020. So if you haven't yet registered, please do register right now. This is just for you. You can win scholarship and assured scholarship. So already so many students have attended and so much scholarship has already been won. So what are you waiting for, guys? Now it's your turn to get your names right here in the scholarship list. And let me again remind you about Vedantu Pro subscription. You have to visit in the link given in the description box as well. Use teacher code SWRPRO, and to avail the discount, you need to use this code. You will get a discount and you will get this at 2699 only. The features here are live interactive classes by India's best teachers, personalized attention in class, full recordings of all classes along with notes, assignments, tests, and much more. So these are the steps that you need to follow in order to subscribe for the pro subscription. First is select the grade. Next is selecting the target. Next we have get subscription, and your job is done. Choose your plan, apply the code SWRPRO, and you will get complete curriculum, structured long-term batch which is in sync with your curriculum, chapter-wise micro courses, complete crash course, and the best part is you have all the freedom to study at your own plan and curriculum, according to your own plan and according to your own curriculum. Test series assignments, learning material, and regular performance reports are also the amazing features of this pro subscription. And we start off with a wonderful lesson that is the horse and two goats. So let us move ahead. Yes, the story is written by R.K. Narayan. R.K. Narayan is an Indian author, first of all, and basically he is a South Indian author and he writes about the South Indian life and his town. If you have watched Malgudi Days, if you haven't watched, then please do watch Malgudi Days. It's amazing. Okay, guys. So the fictional town of Malgudi, it is his own creation. There is no such town as Malgudi, but yes, it's his creation. It is a South Indian town and it's fictional town. And he was the leading author of early literature in English along with Mulk Raj Anand and Raja Rao. So these three figures, Mulk Raj Anand, Raja Rao and R.K. Narayan, these three are important or prominent figures of English Indian literature. So basically they were Indians. What do I mean by Indian English literature? They were Indians. They were writing in English and not their mother tongue. So these writers were known as Indian English, writers. Okay. So moving ahead, in this session, this chapter we have divided into two parts. The first session we will complete the entire story and the important question answers. So please stay tuned till the end of the lesson. All right. And the second part includes doubts and Menti quiz. Okay, guys. So in order to crack the Menti quiz and get at the top of the leaderboard, you need to watch this video very carefully. I'm going to explain the lesson to you. Okay, so moving ahead, I will also read out some portions of the extract so that some extracts from the chapter so that it is clear to you and you also find bits and pieces amusing. Like I will show you which are the parts that is worth reading and which you will find amusing and the important parts from the chapter itself. Now, in this horse and the horse and two goats, we have the characters called Muni and Muni's wife. Initially, we are introduced. Now, what happens is, let me read out a few lines from the book itself. Of the 700 villages dotting the map of India, okay, in which the majority of India's 500 million live, flourish and die, Krittam was probably the tiniest indicated on the district survey map by a microscopic dot. So this village, they were living in this village, Krittam. Okay, the name of the village was Krittam, and that was very small, very tiny. It was just like a microscopic dot. Okay, and but what happened was, ironically, the size, it was microscopic in size, but the name Kritram, that was very grandiose. Why was it grandiose? Because what was the name? Kritam. Kritam in Tamil, which means coronet or crown on the brow of the subcontinent. So Kritam it's a Tamil word and it means coronet. Coronet means crown. I hope you know what is crown. On the brow of the subcontinent. Brow is eyebrow of the subcontinent. So the name, the microscopic place, though the place was microscopic, but ironically the name did not match its size. Okay, and it suggested grandeur. Obviously, when you are talking about a crown of the subcontinent, then of course it is suggesting something grandeur, right? Something of grandeur. So the village consisted of fewer than 30 houses. So small it was, even less than 30 houses. One of them built from brick and cement and painted with brilliant yellow and overall, blue overall with gorgeous carvings of gods and gargoyles, and this was known as the big house. So only one house was there prominent, which was painted wonderfully, and this was known as the big house. And the other houses, they were distributed in 4 streets. They were of generally bamboo, thatched straw and other unspecified material. And Muni's house, you can see over here, it's thatched. Thatched means it's like, you can see the thatch over here, right? And Muni's house was in the 4th street, and beyond which stretched the fields. And in his prosperous days, now let me tell something about Muni. Muni was initially very prosperous, okay? And but what happened? Initially he had a flock of sheep and goats, but what happened was he was just left with 2 goats. That was also not in a proper condition. Okay, so this was the tragic fate of Muni, that initially who was prosperous, he ended up being he landed up in poverty. All right. So Muni wanted to have drumstick sauce, but his wife said, go and buy dal, spices, oil and potato. So in order to have drumstick sauce, his wife said that I cannot make anything for you unless and until you go and buy dal, spices, oil and potato for preparing the sauce. Now, name the village in which Muni lived. Okay. How many houses were there in the village? and describe Muni's prosperous life, prosperous days. Please do comment the answer in the chat box right away. Okay. Now, when he went to the shopkeeper in order to buy those materials, those items which, uh, which was there, like which he wanted in order to have that drumstick sauce, obviously he did not have money. So the shopkeeper, okay, let me tell you one thing over here. What did he go to buy? Okay, first of all, yes, as I told you, he previous slide I already told you that he wanted, his wife told him to buy dal, spices, oil, and potato. Okay, so for that he went to the shopkeeper. Okay, and he wanted to buy those items in order to prepare the drumstick. So in order to ask his wife to prepare that food for her, for him. But the shopkeeper, since he did not have enough money, he was poor, right? Initially he had a lot of money, he was prosperous, he had flocks, he had flocks of goats like that, but now he was just left with two goats. That's it, that's all. And this shopkeeper, what did he say? He humiliated him and he refused to give him anything on credit. So he said that if you don't have money, then I'm not going to give you anything. All right. And yes, Muni also owed the shopkeeper 5 rupees and a quarter. So he already owed him money. So he said that if you don't have money, I'm not going to give you. And Muni, he also lied to the shopkeeper saying that he had a daughter in the other town, in some other town, and she's going to get the money. Okay. So that was the lie that Muni told. Okay. So now Muni, he takes out his goats to graze. Okay, he wanted his goats to graze. And 1 minute, I will tell you about what he saw there. There was a statue, as you can see over here. So initially, when I started the session, I reminded you about two goats and a horse. So I asked you one question about when we read the title, do we think of a real horse and two goats? When I read the title for the first time, when I did not read the story, I imagined a real horse, frankly speaking. So did you, first of all, when when you didn't read the story, when you didn't start reading, now you know the story. So now you know what is the horse all about. It's a statue, right? But before reading, did you not also think that the story talked about a real horse? And we had various kinds of imaginations surrounding the horse, right? So, by the way, have you ever taken a horse ride? Yes or no? Comment in the chat box right now. If you have, do share your experience. Okay. So now I would describe the house as described in your text. So let me read out that portion because that is very important. The horse was nearly life-sized, very big, okay? Molded out of clay, baked, burnt, and brightly colored, and reared its head proudly, prancing its forelegs in the air. Prancing is jumping, freely moving. Okay, like in this way, it was placed in this manner. That means the four legs were as if it's going to just now it's going to take a jump. Okay, and prancing its four legs in the air. Four legs are the legs which are placed before. Hind legs are the legs which are there at the back. Okay, flourishing its tail in a loop. Loop is round shape. Beside the horse stood a warrior with bulging eyes, with scythe-like mustachios. Scythe is a weapon, it is used in farming usually. Okay, so his mustache was such, like this. Okay, round mustache. So it was like a scythe, in the shape of a scythe. If you have seen a scythe, if you have seen the weapons used for farming, seen the tools, not weapons, I would say, the tools used for farming, there's a scythe as well. It's in the shape of half moon, crescent moon. Okay, So the mustache was also in the same shape, and bulging eyes, okay, bulging eyes coming out, almost big eyes, okay, and aquiline nose. The old image makers believed in indicating a man of strength by bulging out his eyes and sharpening his moustache tips, and also decorated the man's chest with beads. Beads are uh, beads, the beads of like pearl beads you have, that those beads, small, round shaped, right? Which look today like blobs of mud through the ravages of sun and wind and rain. But Muni couldn't insist that he had known the beads to sparkle like 9 gems at one time in his life. So the beads, Muni thought that it was like sparkling, like 9 gems at one time. Okay, so this is the description of the horse, the statue of the horse, which was placed just beside where Muni went to graze off. So this was the majestic statue of horse, and the description of the horse statue is important for your exam as well. Okay. Okay. So yes, as I told you, next question for you: where had Muni gone and why? Did the shopkeeper give Muni what he needed? Why or why not? How much money did Muni owe to the shopkeeper? Yes. So these are the three questions. I have already discussed these answers before. So if you have paid attention, you will definitely be able to answer this. Please do answer this in the chat box right now. And then suddenly he was an American tourist. He was visited by an American tourist. One second, let me take out that portion. Okay, let it be. I'll tell you like that. An American tourist, he comes and he talks to Muni. Okay. Now, there was a conversation between, now this conversation between Muni and the American, tourist, that reflects the difference between the Indian culture and the American, yes, Western culture. So these are the differences that, what are the differences that the author highlights, uh, 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 you know, by the conversation between the Indian poor man like Muni and the Western rich foreigner, American tourist, and he was also a businessman. And so the author is trying to create a huge gap between these two. Okay, and this is reflected in their conversation. Okay, and the amazing fact and amusing fact is that both of them cannot understand each other's conversation at all. Muni, he being a simple South Indian, he speaks in his own mother tongue, Tamil, whereas the American tourist, he does not understand anything, anything about, yes, anything about Muni, whatever Muni was saying, he did not understand a single word. But the way Muni was expressing, he really liked the way. Okay, so there was a great communication gap between these two. And Muni, when he for the first time saw this American tourist, he got a little afraid. He thought that perhaps he belongs to the police or something like that. And maybe when this businessman, he took out his card and he gave that to Muni, he thought that this card is an arrest warrant. So he was shuddering with fear. He was so afraid. So this simple man, he could not understand anything about the American tourist. And now what was the American tourist's wish? He thought that Muni was the owner of this majestic statue. Okay. So Muni was the owner of this majestic statue that was thought by this American tourist. So the American tourist, he wanted the statue and he offered money. Okay. But what did Muni Muni understood, and what did Muni understand is the fact that the American, he wants to buy my goats, the two goats, and that is why he is offering the money. And if I could show you the conversation, one second, let me tell you. Uh, about the amazing conversation that took place between. Okay, yes, I have got the points actually. So this red man, that is American, said, "I'm sure you know when this horse was made," said the red man and smiled ingratiatingly. Mooney reacted to the relaxed atmosphere by smiling himself and pleaded, "Please go away, sir. I know nothing." So he thought that he was arresting him for some reason. "I promise we will hold him for you if we see any bad character around, and we will bury him up to his neck in a coconut pit if he tries to escape. But our village has always been had a clean record. Must definitely be the other village." So he's thinking that he is going to arrest. He said that no, it something is there in the next village. It's not here. Please go away. Please go away, sir. The old man, initially he could not understand, and then finally when the American started the conversation, he understood that he was not referring to any person or someone else, but he was referring to the horse, the statue of the horse. Okay, and then he said, in his own language, "I was an urchin this high when I heard my grandfather explain this horse and warrior, and my grandfather himself was this high when he heard his grandfather, whose grandfather." The other man interrupted, "I don't want to seem to have stopped here for nothing. I will offer you good price for this," he said, indicating the horse. So there was a complete communication gap between both of them. Okay. "I assure you that this will have the best home in the USA." He's saying that I'm going to take the statue and I can assure you that this will have a very good place. I'll push away the bookcase. So now he's even preparing to change everything in order to accommodate that statue. He says, "I'll push away everything, the bookcase. Okay. And you know, I love books, and I'm a member of 5 book clubs, and the choice and bonus volumes mount up to a pile really in our living room as high as this horse itself." So he is going to make a great change for this horse, and he's also offering a good amount of money in order to take that. So from here, we can say that the author is trying to indicate the real difference between Indian civilization, Indian people like Muni, simple man like Muni, and so he's also having a cross-cultural connect. Okay, over here he's indicating a reference to cross-culture. For example, Muni, he is, he's a simple man. He has lost all his money, right? And now he is complaining that he has to work, without electricity sometimes. And the American man, when he was conversing with him, he said about the troubles of working without an AC. So please understand the irony that he is saying about AC to a man who did not even have proper electricity. Right. He's complaining about not working of the AC air condition, and then he's also giving him a cigarette. The Yeah, he's giving him a cigarette, I guess. Yes, and to this poor person who had no idea of what that was, a stylish cigar, right? And then so these are the differences that the author is talking about over here. And then the poor man Muni is also uneducated. He has no knowledge. He's uneducated, but he knows about Mahabharata because he had learned that from a priest. Okay. And this Western man, he wants to change everything. He is the force of change. So here he stands for the symbol of the westernization, modernization, and instrument of change which was coming very soon in Indian village. And that is what the narrator is trying to say in this story by, bringing in the foreign businessman over here in India. And the simplicity of the Indian village is thereby intruded upon this great change that is about to come. And then he also brags about his he says that uh, he talks about his hobby doing manual work to a man who is working day in and day out. So he is only involved in manual work. To such a man, the other person, he is talking about the pleasure of manual work as a hobby, right? So this is a great contrast, and the author is purposely creating this great contrast between these two characters. And the two characters are very, very, very important. We will have a character analysis at the end as well, so stay tuned, right? And then Muni, yes, as I said, that Muni thought that the American wanted the goats, a huge communication gap. And this communication gap, the portion where it talks about the communication gap between the two, that creates the humor in the story. So definitely R.K. Narayan has created humor in the story using the communication gap of Indian language as well as Western language. Then Muni came back home and she told about the incident to his wife. Okay, and then 1 second. So now Muni's wife, when she came to know about the incident, uh, she was confused. First of all, she did not trust, right? So she got confused. How can he earn so much by selling these two horses, these two goats? And then suddenly, the wife said that the goats have come back. Okay. So that was the story. And then he says that if now the police comes to arrest you, I don't know you. It is completely on you. I don't know what you have done. It is completely on you. The goats have come back. I think you have done something. And now if the police comes to the house, I'm not going to do anything. Okay. I'm out of this. Okay, so that again, the ending is also humorous. So the narrator has completely created a humorous story and with the help of humor, he actually points out great issues. He points out to several issues, several contrasts, and also so humor is a kind of weapon used by the narrator over here, by the writer over here, in order to create a contrast between the Indian culture and the Western civilization. And he also talks about the intrusion of Western civilization, and the taking away of horse is actually taking away something of the in. Actually, it can symbolize the taking away of Indianness from India. Okay, so now we will come to the appropriateness of title. So what are you going to write? So first of all, when I started this session, I started with the title itself, right? So when we hear the title for the first time, we think that, oh my God, is it a story about a real horse, real goat, animals? What is it? Is it an animal story? What is it, right? So that creates curiosity, and the curiosity goes, it helps us to create interest, to generate interest, to read the story further and further. Muni drives the story forward. Major driving force is the dialogue between Muni and the American, and the story, obviously the entire story is centered on the horse and the goats. The episode of the misunderstanding of the two, that is the humor in the story. And we have the theme of cross culture. So in the theme of cross culture, as I told you, you have to talk about the differences in the civilization, Indian as well as Western, and the contrast between Indian and Western culture, that is very, very, very important, and that has been highlighted humorously in the entire story. Muni's character sketch. Muni is the protagonist of the story, and the whole story is revolving around him. The initial part of the story, he is first described as a poor villager, but he was, yes, a prosperous man earlier, but then he became a then he landed into poverty, and he's completely dependent on his wife, who arranges for his both ends meet by working in the at the big house. And as a result, he does not argue with her because he fears her. As I told you that he was uneducated, but still he has the knowledge of Ramayana and Mahabharata because he had heard it by the priest. And then he is the symbol of Indian tradition. And in the symbol of Indian tradition, you need to mention about how he works, how he was initially prosperous, how his life completely depended on, his flock, right? And how he landed into poverty, and now he just has two goats, and the entire chapter, and he does not know how to deal with the foreigners. He was very simple, and he misconstrued the foreigner as businessman, as a police, or he shuddered at him when he saw him. He thought that he's going to arrest him. When he showed him the visiting card, he thought it as a letter of warrant. So, right. So these are the portions which you need to talk about when you talk about the symbol of Indian tradition and culture. And the American character, the American is totally in sharp contrast, and he entered the story when Muni was sitting in the foot of the statue, and he came in a yellow vehicle, which is a symbol of the new culture. As I told you that very soon the westernization, the what to say, the wind of westernization, the air of westernization is very soon going to spread in the entire India. That is what the narrator, the author, is trying to portray through this story. The American is represented as a typical wealthy person as opposed to Muni. He was an Indian villager. And yes, so basically you also have to talk about the contrasting character. When you are talking about the American's character, the character sketch of Muni is also going to come in, and when you are talking about Muni's character, the other way around, right? So when he offered Muni a cigarette, he did not understand Muni's language. Still, he was liking the way he was speaking, so he listened to it very uh, you know with very great interest, with keen interest, and he tried to comprehend what he was trying to say. And it is ironical that he expected Muni to understand English, right? So that is very ironical, and that is actually the author is trying to emphasize on that point. He was a typical American tourist who wishes to take back home the horse of statue as a souvenir to keep it in his living room. And he traded in coffee. He liked the way, that is why he constantly tried to, communicate with him. He was a man of business who did not understand that statues' cultural or religious importance. That is very, very important. So when the narrator said, Muni said about the cultural importance, about his the statue being a symbol of culture, a symbol of he was a warrior, he was a redeemer. That is what the narrator said. Muni said about the horse statue, that he was a redeemer. Okay, and that is what he was told about the horse statue. But he did not understand, the American did not understand the cultural importance, the importance of Indian culture, and that is what the narrator is constantly trying to show. The Westerns, you know, being ignorant, the Westerners being ignorant of Indian values, Indian culture, but they are coming in, they are intruding upon Indian culture, and they are trying to take away, strip the Indians of their values, their culture, their tradition. That is the underlying theme of the entire story. And this is brought about very cleverly, very subtly, with the help of humor. All right. And yes, he paid 100 rupees for the statue to Muni and took the statue along with him to New York. Okay, then Muni's wife's character sketch. So Muni was presented, and Muni's wife is the epitome of Indian women. So that is how the narrator presents the Indian women in the entire story. She is the Indian woman who takes up duties and responsibilities of her household as her husband. Typical Indian women. Okay, she is introduced in her kitchen where she appeared to. She prepared and packed food for her husband. Although she was rude, she was a little gruff with him. She was always wishing to satisfy his craving because she considered that as a wifely duty. And that is how so Muni's character, when we are discussing Muni's character, actually you can also prepare for another character, another question, that is, how did the author, right, how did the author present women in the story? Okay, so Muni would occasionally thrash her earlier, typical presentation, but now she had an upper hand in the family dispute. Muni pondered on what his wife would do if he would die, but it was Muni who was dependent on her. So this is again the typical male chauvinistic, mindset, that the male thinks that he is in power, he is the all powerful, but actually it was the other way around. It was Muni who was completely dependent on him. So yes, the patriarchal, the chauvinistic mindset is presented very beautifully with the help of Muni's character. He knew if he obeyed her, she would earn enough by taking up occasional jobs in the big house to buy foodstuffs. So that is very clever of Muni, who had no other option but to obey her, and very cleverly he got his job done. Okay, so his wife used to work in the big house and she used to come up with all the money, and that was required to buy the foodstuffs. She was very hardworking and was not worn down by poverty. She was so honest that she was not delighted on seeing her husband with 100 rupees, but accused Muni of stealing it. So that is why at the end of the story she says that the police is going to come because I can see that the goats have come. So what have you done? You have done something wrong. She was ready to work as hard as possible to make both ends meet, but was not ready to use the money by unfair means. She was married to Muni at a very young age. So again, typical, women portrayal. So in those times, you all know that women were, even today, some places in the very interior rural villages, you will find this. The girls get married at a very young age, 18, 17, 18. That is also, I'm just saying, I think 17, 18 is also too much that I'm saying. It's less than that even, right? So she used to get angry occasionally, so it's very difficult, but she tries her best to earn money because that was considered as a duty that would be done by ideal wives. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed today's session, and also please write the answer about what do you think of the portrayal of women characters, and it has women being portrayed in a realistic manner in this very story. Analyze with the help of Muni's character. I have already come up with Muni's character, but I'm just twisting the question a little bit. You have to write about what do you think of the presentation of women characters. Has women character have women characters been presented in a realistic manner? So please let me know in the comment section, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you have got the deeper nuances of the chapter. It's not just about a humorous story about miscommunication between two. It's far more than that, far beyond than that. I have been able to convey that meaning, which is about cross culture. I hope I have come up with the theme properly. The theme is cross culture and the intrusion of the westerners in the simple Indian village. So thank you guys. I hope you are going to subscribe as well. So please do subscribe and keep sharing your love so that we can come up with lots and lots of other chapters as well, and we are going to complete your syllabus as much as possible. I know that it's not possible actually to read the entire chapter and explain the entire story, but I'm trying my best to do as much as I can for you so that the meaning is absolutely clear. The if you can catch the theme of the story, then you can do the chapter reading and get the meanings done as well. So basic thing is catching of theme and understanding the theme, understanding the various nuances, other nuances that usually is not directly stated but implied, and you need to puzzle out. I hope I am helping you in guiding, I am helping you and I am trying to guide you in that way. So thank you guys and take care. See you all again in the next session. Bye bye.